Every time this story resurfaces, the same pattern follows. Posts are restricted, comments disappear, language becomes careful, and people are left asking a simple but uncomfortable question. Why does this topic feel so difficult to talk about openly? When one of the most powerful billionaires on the planet repeatedly appears by association in conversations connected to the most infamous scandal of our time, curiosity doesn't fade. It intensifies. And that intensity is exactly what keeps this controversy alive. This isn't a video about accusations or verdicts. It's about power, perception, and why public trust collapses when transparency feels incomplete. One name that consistently ignites debate is Bill Gates. Not because of proven crimes, but because of acknowledged associations, leaked discussions, and unanswered questions that collide with enormous influence. In a world where trust in institutions is already fragile, even proximity to scandal becomes fuel. Jeffrey Epstein is the only confirmed criminal at the center of this story. Courts established his guilt, survivors spoke, and evidence existed. What keeps the controversy burning is that Epstein did not operate alone in social isolation. He built relationships with wealthy and powerful people across business, politics, and science. Those connections created access, legitimacy, and protection. And after his conviction, they left behind a trail of names that the public refuses to ignore. The so-called Epstein Files are not a secret confession list. They are collections of court documents, testimonies, contact logs, and records released through lawsuits and reporting. These documents show associations and meetings, not automatic crimes. But when the public sees the same elite names surface repeatedly, the distinction between association and guilt becomes emotionally difficult to accept, especially when ordinary people feel justice rarely reaches the top. Epstein's private island has become a symbol far larger than the confirmed facts. It is a real place tied to abuse allegations, and that alone creates outrage. Online narratives often go much further, layering speculation, anonymous claims, and exaggeration until the line between evidence and imagination disappears. The mystery grows not because facts are clear, but because they are incomplete. Billionaires attract suspicion because extreme power changes expectations. When someone has the ability to influence markets, governments, and narratives, people assume nothing happens by accident. Silence feels strategic. Carefully worded statements feel calculated. Even legal caution feels like avoidance. Whether that assumption is fair or not, it defines how the public reacts. The internet accelerates this process. Memes, screenshots, and edited clips turn complex situations into simple conclusions. There are memes circulating on the internet that make conspiracy-style claims, suggesting that Bill Gates' company, Microsoft, is actually Microsoft, using the altered wording to imply inappropriate or sinister associations involving minors. Humor lowers defenses, repetition builds belief, and context gets stripped away. Once a narrative feels emotionally satisfying, corrections struggle to survive. People share not because they verified, but because it aligns with their distrust of elites. Censorship adds another layer. Platforms remove content to avoid legal risk, defamation claims, and the spread of harmful material. But to viewers, removals feel like confirmation that something dangerous is being hidden. Moderation intended to reduce harm often ends up increasing suspicion, creating a loop where silence speaks louder than facts. Some people face arrests or lawsuits in this space, not for exposing truth, but for crossing legal boundaries. Making direct criminal accusations without evidence, sharing private or illegal material, or damaging reputations can carry consequences. Free speech protects opinion, not unproven claims presented as fact. This is where controversy collides with reality. The unresolved frustration remains. Epstein was convicted, yet many people feel justice stopped too early. Questions linger about how far his network extended and why transparency feels limited. That unresolved tension keeps the story alive more than any new document ever could. Bill Gates becomes part of this conversation because meetings with Epstein were acknowledged and publicly regretted. That acknowledgement does not imply criminal behavior, but when paired with immense influence, it keeps public interest alive. In the digital age, explanation rarely travels as far as suspicion, and denial rarely feels satisfying when trust is already broken. Screenshots and leaked messages complicate everything further. Images feel like proof even when their context, origin, or authenticity is unclear. A corrupted message can shift meaning entirely, yet once it circulates, the correction rarely matches the reach of the claim. This is how reputations become battlegrounds long before facts are settled. There is also a deeper emotional driver behind the outrage. People feel trapped by rising costs, shrinking opportunity, and unequal consequences. When a billionaire's name appears near a convicted criminal, it becomes symbolic of a system that feels untouchable. Anger fills the gaps left by uncertainty. From a financial freedom perspective, this matters because trust is a currency. Markets, philanthropy, and institutions rely on credibility. When that credibility erodes, even rumors can move opinions and behavior. Understanding how narratives form protects you from manipulation, whether it comes from powerful interests or viral misinformation. Media dynamics worsen the divide. Responsible journalism moves slowly, uses cautious language, and avoids conclusions without evidence. Social media rewards speed, certainty, and outrage. Most people consume the louder version because it feels honest, even when it's incomplete. Questioning power is necessary. Demanding transparency is healthy. Supporting survivors is essential. But replacing evidence with assumption weakens accountability instead of strengthening it. Justice depends on proof, not volume. So when you see a name trend, pause. Ask what is confirmed, what is alleged, and what is speculation. Ask who benefits from outrage and who benefits from silence. In a world where attention is monetized, controversy itself becomes profitable. This story persists not because facts are new, but because trust remains broken. Until institutions rebuild credibility and power becomes more transparent, the internet will keep digging. And every time it does, the noise will grow louder. Financial freedom isn't just about money, it's about independent thinking. In an era where outrage spreads faster than truth, clarity is the rarest asset. Question boldly, verify carefully, and never confuse curiosity with certainty. Real truth survives scrutiny. Rumors don't.